Back in 2012, after Republicans lost the White House, we realized that we needed to make some changes. And as many of you have heard, the Growth and Opportunity Project came out. And under the leadership of Chairman Reince Priebus, we've made significant efforts to engage Hispanic communities across the U.S.
There was a time when the Hispanic community was almost a solid Republican bloc. Plenty of leaders would never think of going to the left, and that's the way it would always be. Of course, nothing lasts forever. In recent years, thanks to immigration and other issues, the ever-growing Hispanic vote is more Democratic than ever before, which is why in the wake of the midterm elections, plenty of pundits and posers are wondering simply, what happened? And what does Republican control of Congress mean to their wants and needs? Let's welcome back to MidPoint. Mary Ramirez is heard with Chris Salcedo on the nationally syndicated The Blaze Radio Network. Always a pleasure to have you on the show. Mary, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me on, Ed.
So let's get right to it then. When it comes down to this vote, was the Latin community, in your opinion, very engaged to get involved in the midterms? Or as some people say, we really didn't see a lot of Latino voting in here, so therefore it really doesn't have any kind of a mandate that way until we get to 2016?
You know, I saw a decline in the participation. I think the percentages are they still trend Democrat, but I did see a decline. And I think that's due to various reasons. I think that, you can say that there is a faction of the population that is irritated with the president over his inaction on immigration and specifically amnesty. And, with activist groups like La Raza, they have a very big voice and they make the issue seem rather prominent at the table. It would seem that that's the only issue. That is the key issue. But really, when you look at a poll recently put out by Pew Research, only 46% of Hispanics support amnesty. And of those who are frustrated with the president for his inaction, only 9% say that they're actually angry with the president. So, when you talk to people like my husband, who's a Mexican immigrant, when you talk to Chris, as you just mentioned, of the Blaze Radio Network, when you get out there and you talk to Latinos, it's so much more than immigration. It really is. I mean, I read a poll from Pew recently as well that said that only 36% of Hispanics say they wouldn't vote for someone who disagrees with them on immigration. So that tells me that that's not the biggest issue. Democrats and the president have really pigeonholed Latinos into one issue, and that's immigration. And they don't stop to realize that they, just like everyone else, are concerned about the economy. They're concerned about jobs. They're concerned about the future that they're going to leave to their children. And I think they're sick and tired of being told that they care about just one issue.
But what is it then that's going to turn the Latino community over to the Republican side? Because still you get many times, and many people I speak to say they will not vote Republican because they see the Republicans and the conservatives' opposition to immigration reform in many ways as a complete stumbling block. They said the Republicans don't like us, they don't want us, they don't want to help immigration. That's why we're not voting Republican.
Well, I think the Republicans and the conservatives in particular need to focus on a couple of things. There's been a narrative that has been propagated the last couple of years, as you just alluded to, that the conservatives and the Republicans don't care about the Latin community, they don't care about immigration, and in fact that they're racist. I mean, there's really a race card being played. I'll give you an example. During the 2012 election season, my husband came home, he was listening to the radio in the car, and he said, "Hey, I just heard a commercial, a political ad, and they were talking about, hey, if you vote GOP, they're going to deport you." And I thought that was interesting because you can't vote if you're not a citizen. And of course, no one's interested in deporting citizens. So I think that Republicans and conservatives really have to tackle that issue. They have to point out those lies. And specifically, I think one of the biggest things they need to tackle is amnesty, but not in the way that people think. Latinos are frustrated with the amnesty debate, but not necessarily because it's not happening, but because it is. When you talk to people like my husband, myself, we've all been through the legal immigration process. It's expensive, it's tiresome, it is burdensome, it's next to impossible to do if you don't have a college degree.
Okay, Mary, I've only got about a minute left, so I have to interrupt you then here. About a minute left. What is it then that the Latinos would want to see happen with regard to amnesty/immigration to get them to vote Republican?
I do think that there need to be changes in streamlining in the immigration process. I will agree with you. I'll agree with people on that. But I think the Republicans really have to hit that amnesty issue hard and point out, hey, we recognize that you've all worked hard to get here. So we're going to fight for that for you. We're going to fight for the fact that you did what you were supposed to do. We're going to recognize that and honor that. And we're going to streamline the immigration system so
What if they keep deporting illegals?
I'm sorry?
What if Republicans, conservatives still stay and they stand on an issue? We must continue to deport illegals.
Well, I think we have to stand with the rule of law, because when you consider where these people can come from, we have to remind them, where did you come from and why did you leave those countries where you left? You left because the rule of law was absent. And I think we have to be principled on that. We have to send that message and that narrative.
All right, there it is, the rule of law. We got right down to it, and that's exactly what we're going to talk about from here on out. All out of time. Mary Ramirez and the Blaze Radio Network. Give our best to Chris. Always a pleasure. We'll see you again soon.
Certainly will. Thanks, Ed.
All right, after the break, where does a 10,000 horsepower car go? All right, you know the old joke here. Of course, anywhere it wants to. That's what's happening at SEMA in Las Vegas. And at 34 minutes after the hour, the effect of the right on right Wall Street. And exactly, it all comes down to money. That's the Money Master and so much more. And we continue right here on MidPoint, where every day we question everything.